To most of you, this looks like a partially torn down strip mall. One of the dilapidated condition that Big Lots is considered an anchor store. To say it's seen better days is an understatement. But I see something different. I'm reminded of the words of cartoonist and graphic novelist Will Eisner. In one chapter of one of his greatest works, The Building, he wrote, "As I grew older and accumulated memories, I came to feel more keenly the disappearances of people and landmarks. Especially troubling to me was the callous removal of buildings. I felt, somehow, they had a kind of soul. I know now that these structures, barnacled with laughter and stained by tears, are more than lifeless edifices. It cannot be that having been part of life, they did not somehow absorb the radiation from human interaction. And I wonder, what is left behind when a building is torn down?" I get what Eisner was trying to say. I moved to Gaithersburg in the summer of 1983. Back then, this shopping center was more of a traditional indoor mall, at least on one side. The back had a grocery store, a mom-and-pop hardware store, and a little kosher deli. The indoor shopping plaza wasn't as large as the one down the street, but it had everything you'd need. A place to buy discount clothes, a little toy store, a tiny little 3-screen movie theater. It's where I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the first time. I don't know how or why, but sometime in the late 80s, the place got remodeled. In the eyes of many in the community, this was a bad move. Its attempted comeback was less Star Trek The Next Generation and more New Coke. That doesn't mean there wasn't fun to be had. There was an independently owned video store. That meant they had things you couldn't get at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster. It turns out that wasn't by the owner's choice. It's what they could afford. They might only get 1 or 2 copies of a new release, but they always had little monsters. Before the corporate behemoth that is Dollar Tree took up residence, we had the best dollar store ever. You know, the kind where comic book grab bags would be placed right next to Bible coloring books, which would be placed right next to romance novels starring Abe Lincoln. Anyway, one time I found a dozen boxes of Hostess Choco Bliss cakes. You guys remember those? They were amazing! Alas, I found these boxes in 1994. Hostess ceased production on Choco Bliss in 1989. However, if Choco Bliss's shelf life is anything like the Twinkie, they probably still would have been good. I'll never know. My buddy stopped me from buying them. Okay, I admit it. Most of my memories of this place are of it being shitty, depressing, and horrific. One does not simply walk to Montgomery Village Plaza. The scariest thing to happen to me at that shopping center was driving school. Maybe 20 years ago, I decided to learn to drive. Well, not me exactly, more like my folks forced me to learn. But me behind the wheel was a less than stellar idea. Have any of you ever seen the movie Cannonball Run 2? Yeah, I was Captain Chaos, and I had a couple of panic attacks on the highway. But at the same time, I remember having a lot of fun here. Most of those memories were from when I was in high school. There was always 1 or 2 days during every midterm or final exam cycle where we had only one exam, or when we didn't have to come into school at all. But my friends and I had a plan, or rather, I had a plan, and for once, the guy didn't think one of my ideas was fucking stupid. Exam or not, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, we'd go to the activity office and get enough bus tokens so we could leave before the bus was supposed to come get us and go to my house. Of course, just because we had the bus tokens to get to my house doesn't mean we went straight there. We always stopped here at this shopping center. I might seem like a milquetoast Peter Parker type, but I can be devious when I want to be. Remember that 3-screen movie theater I mentioned before? It was still there after the remodeling. It couldn't compete with several larger theaters. It just couldn't. So it became a second-run house. One of those theaters that played movies that had already left larger chains, but hadn't hit home video yet. Best of all, the tickets were only $1.99. So a day or two before I would look up what was playing. We'd all gather up as much money as possible. Then we'd get off at a bus stop not far away. Our first stop was McDonald's. One of us was in charge of flipping coupons. There were usually 3 to 5 of us on these adventures, and we never spent more than $20 on food. This might seem crazy, but so were fast food prices in the mid to late 90s. Our next stop was the dollar store. You couldn't bring outside food into the movie theater, but we hid behind the law. You couldn't legally search a minor's backpack or coat pocket without parental consent. Even my backpack, which had anything I need for any conceivable situation, found room for more stuff. Anything from king-size Twix bars and party-sized bags of M&Ms to huge things of soda. And if we somehow ran out of space, we'd stuff things in our coat pockets. But let's face it, my backpack was bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. Don't ask. During one of our outings in freshman year, we ran into this junior or senior who mocked us having these huge bulges in our pockets. We didn't have to put up with him for long. He was a normal person. He wasn't going to the same movie. But we saw him spending $10 at the concession stand. He got a large popcorn, a medium drink, and a bag of M&Ms. The large popcorn turned out to be a paper lunch bag. The medium drink was a solo cup with a lid. And the M&Ms? They were a Halloween fun size. We spent maybe $15. But that got us 10 16-ounce bottles of soda, 3 1-pound bags of M&Ms, 1 6-pack of Cracker Jack, and 1 box of Little Debbie Nutty Bars. They would change the movies every Friday. So the next day we went to the theater again. We ran into the same guy who mocked us. Only this time, his pockets looked awfully filled, and we didn't see him going to the concession stand. If we were ever in a position where we were arguing over what to see, sometimes we would go to 2 movies in one day. This was usually a right before Thanksgiving break or the very end of finals type thing. It was our way of celebrating a victory or comforting a friend in defeat. The only problem with second-run theaters is the selection, or rather, lack thereof. Here is a quick list of movies I remember seeing at this theater. Police Academy 7, Mission to Moscow. Double Dragon. Billy Madison. Jury Duty. Down Periscope. Spy Hard. Dragonheart. D3 The Mighty Ducks. Jingle All the Way, and at least one of the many, many, many times that I saw Star Trek Generations on the big screen. None of which I would call brilliant cinema. I got a certain sick degree of entertainment from these movies, but most of the time it was in spite of their awfulness. The weirdest and most wonderful thing about these trips is that we were often the only ones there. When the movie was good, I was watching the movie with the 3 or 4 other people in the world I knew wouldn't mock me for liking the movie. I'm admitting this right now. I saw Muppet Treasure Island in the theaters 3 times, no regrets. But when the movie was bad, I knew I was with a group of guys, and in one instance, 3 guys and a girl, who hated the movie in the same half-loving way that I did. We do that Mystery Science Theater thing with maybe 1/10 their talent, but we didn't care. In some ways, I think of these trips as the most fun I've ever had at the movies. The more pessimistic side of me thinks it might be the most fun I'll ever have at the movies. I am one of those people who hates going to the movies alone. I don't know why, and it doesn't mean that I won't. It just means that when I do, I want to go to the cheapest showing that I can. So anytime there was a movie that my family or friends didn't want to see, that's where I went. I saw 3 ninjas kick back there. What a mistake. I realized 20 minutes in that the sequel lacked any of the humor and charm of the original. On the other hand, it's where I saw the 1996 classic The Phantom starring Billy Zane. You don't have to watch my other show, Did I Get What I Paid For, to know how I feel about that movie. Slam evil, baby. What bothers me is that I didn't think too much about it when the place closed for good in 1999. Wow, 21 years. Doesn't seem that long ago. I didn't miss it because I had a lot going on in my life. I don't think I really missed the place all that much either. I think I miss the magic of having people who love the same movies I do. The ability to get totally absorbed in watching a movie. Of feeling so comfortable with the people I'm with that I can fart. I miss letting people see me laugh my eyes off at George Gaines and his goldfish. Or Data pushing Dr. Crusher off the boat. But laughing hysterically at Billy Zane in purple tights? That's probably best kept to myself. Oh, and I don't really miss any of that. So much of my life these days is the same kind of shit, but it doesn't have the same all-consuming importance that it once did. And those guys? I haven't seen most of them in decades. Oh, I run into them from time to time, but it's not like we're best buds. The intellectual part of me knows that's normal. Most people don't hang out with the same people from high school forever. Maybe 1 or 2 people, but not all of them. I've known that since before I even had friends that I could be that close to. Now I'm sounding like the narrator of Stand By Me. I know nothing could ever bring that feeling back. The theater was gone for 20 years before they turned it into a pile of rubble. Everything in that courtyard, even the much beloved Village Grill, was gone for almost a year before they tore it down. But I guess having that courtyard there, even if it was empty, made the past that much easier to hold on to. That theater, at least to me, and probably only me, was someplace sacred. Then I realized they were building homes there, someplace where someone else can have their own adventures. What they are building could be some couple's first home. Someplace where someone's child will have their first steps. A place where horny teenagers will awkwardly lose their virginity. And if I'm in that shopping center, and I want a bad movie for my current batch of friends and I to riff on, there's always Big Lots. They're not tearing that down. Last time I was there, I got dragon wasps! And you know that's a quality film because Torin Nemec, star of Parker Lewis Can't Lose, is in it. How could you possibly go right? If you liked this video, please hit like or subscribe. And if you want to see me do more of these stories, please leave a comment. Till next time, folks.